water heater, right?
There we go. All right. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good to be back in America. Welcome back. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about the success we're having with this new process that we're doing. We're pretty much experiencing what they said we'd experience. We're somewhere around an 80% closing rate, which is really high.
Yeah.
You know, we sold that system for you.
Mm-hmm.
We sold 2 systems for you.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Wow.
The other
Good
coil
job,
that I
guys.
set up looks like it's going to go down too.
Right, we know that one's probably gonna happen. And I got a few of them out there that, you know, it's just a matter of me getting there until, you know, so really, the success has been tremendous. So we're actually finding the leaks, just like we said. I went out yesterday and confirmed another one, which is interesting on that one. We haven't sold it yet, and I haven't even given her a price. But I was out there last year, and I quoted her a number to replace the system. And she said no, and we added refrigerant. So,
Who was it?
was one, Sarah was there yesterday on the, Laura Brown, maybe? Or Laura, I don't know. Anyway,
I was gonna
Foothill
ask, is it
Ranch.
someone
my
is it
my
someone
heart
I've been to?
stopped because I thought you were going to say bats.
No. Yeah, she's a little batty. Anyway, so that system, we found leaks in the coil and a hydronic system. It's over there up the one at Foothill Ranch. The systems we've been to and replaced, and a few of them we found leaks and such. But yeah, the sniffer was going off like crazy on that coil. Multiple locations. Same thing with the one we went on yesterday in Laguna Beach, which was Jeff Weiss, which I've known that guy since 1996, somewhere in there. Yeah, so anyway, it's working. It's working really, really well. So that's the good news. The bad news is we need to get some installers in here. Because like I don't really see anybody in this room to be installers. And really my intention for Mike and Jesse was not to be installers either. Mike's way too advanced technically. So we need like an install crew, like a full crew, 2 people. And I think Jesse could be also a technician at some point very, very soon here. I think he's capable of running calls. So like actually diagnostic calls, you know, because he's been around Mike so much. So anyway, so we really don't have anybody in the company that we're looking at to be installers. So we actually have to go out and find some crews, because right now we have about 5 or 6 installs, which that's unusual for this company, right? You've been around for a while, you know that.
Yeah.
So this is working. And it's not small installs either. I've
Right.
got one for 20-some thousand. You got yours for 10. You got his for 9. Alan sold one, and he doesn't even know he's doing it. He got one for 16. You know, it's just, and there's multiples on top of that we don't, you know, that we have to do that are maybe a little bit smaller ticket, but still. So we're not just doing coils. We're doing
Yeah.
full systems. So this is starting to pop in a month that we should be not experiencing any growth whatsoever. Where most companies
Yeah.
are sucking fumes.
Right.
Like this is like the worst time in most companies, and it's really encouraging to me to see this. So so we're working desperately to try to find installers, because what we've been doing in the past, and it's really inefficient, is we take the guys who are good at setting up the leads and getting them sold, and then we make them installers for a day or 2.
Yeah.
And then that takes our momentum away, right? And then we keep repeating, we stop ourselves, and then we finish the job we sold, and then we start over again. And there's this gap of flow, you know, so it stops the flow. So we're trying to kill that. And we're trying to get some discipline in this company so that, hey, you guys, you have your jobs, And that's what your job is. It's not wearing 20 different hats in this company. So we're working toward that. Having said that, we're going to have to make do with what we got, for now. So there's that. The other thing I want to mention is, I've been giving a lot of thought to the plumbing side and how we're going to do this on the plumbing side, because I've really been encouraged by the success that we're experiencing on the HVAC side. So, what is my evaporative coil on the plumbing side? And I really feel strongly that the water heater is that ticket. And I'm not really looking to sell water heaters, just like I'm not looking to sell evaporative coils. I'm looking to sell full systems. And when I think of the water heater, I think of water treatment. And I think of whole house water treatment. And the ticket for the two combined is going to be somewhere in between, $7 to $10 grand. Or more, based on whether they decide to go with a tankless or, but it's the combination of the two. In other words, instead of just a coil, then with coil furnace condenser, in this case, we'd have water heater or tankless and, throw in water treatment on the system, on the whole house, protect the whole home.
Oh, my parents want a tankless water heater and to move their furnaces to the attic and transition all their ductwork. And,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
They want to redo their house.
that's a big job.
So I figured if you wouldn't mind heading down there, if you got a spare minute.
Yeah.
To, walk them through. I mean, I know how to do it, but I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. Well, that is, in talking about discipline, I'm trying to discipline myself to not run calls. In other words, no, really, and I have seen calls where they're like, oh, you got a tune-up, and I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not, that's not the plan, right? You don't make the quarterback the running back.
No.
Period, and that's what we're trying to discipline ourselves and be a team where we all have designated purposes, instead of this
Unless you're
Chinese
Lamar
fire drill.
Jackson.
What's that?
Unless you're Lamar Jackson. Unless you're Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and I'm not. Not only that, it's just, it's efficiency, So when you call me up and say, Kevin, are you clear? The answer needs to be yes, right? And I can't do that if I'm running service calls.
Unless you're literally talking to another, doing another sale.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if I'm gonna be tied up, I wanna be tied up on a sale, period. So.
So with Mr. Weiss yesterday, when I asked you, Kevin, are you cleared? He had a facial expression that was a little bit towards like a suspicious side. So I don't know if we can or should change that.
We can adjust it. I agree, and thank you for observing subtleties and customers' expressions and reactions. That's really critical, that you look at people's reactions and kind of look for body language and stuff like that. So if you sensed it, it probably was there.
Yeah.
There was probably a concern. And I don't know if you noticed this, but he didn't really have a good grip of who I was, and that's why I kind of introduced myself to him and explained to him, do you remember when we first met, kind of a thing? I was joking about it, and I was telling him, it was 1995, 96, and he goes, when the addition got put on, yeah, but he didn't even realize that I was the one that fixed his air conditioning problem because they screwed up the design. They had to return outside of his office in the hallway. And he would close the office door, and it wasn't cooling.
Right.
And so we made a return out of the joists that we're running, and I remembered it like it was yesterday, but he didn't have a clue who I was. But when I handed him my business card, that changed a lot, because then he was like, your last name's Kalka? And he didn't even realize so you're the owner of the company. And he didn't, and I'm thinking, assuming this guy knows who I am, right? Because I've been there so many times in the past, Yeah, I'm the owner of the company. And then he started asking me questions like, well, how many people do you have? And when did you start? And da 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 da. You know, because when I first met him, I was working for another company that introduced me to him.
Okay.
And he became my client because, long story short, that company closed down and went to Vegas.
Oh.
So anyway, he hasn't used us as a plumber, but that's how I met him as a plumber. But I fixed his HVAC. I was introduced to him to fix that problem, and I did. But he didn't. I didn't even bring it up. He didn't remember it. But anyway, long story short, I think that we can adjust that to. Hey Kevin, do you have a minute? You know.
Are you,
Are you with the customer?
Hey, are you tied up right now?
Are you in the middle of
You know
it?
what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a
It
second?
could just be very direct, like instead of we were just talking, Sarah, about the reaction the customer had when he said, "Are you clear?" And so yeah, the customer kind of he sensed that the customer would like reacted to that like it was like sort of a setup. And he actually
Like
caught me.
code word or
He actually
something.
caught me off guard a little bit, you know, because my frame of mind was on something else right there because I had just got done doing diagnostic and I was thinking about all this other stuff and then I was like, oh yeah. You know? And anyway, and I knew where he was too because that's something I'm starting to do, by the way, is to read the schedule and know where you guys are and who you're dealing with and know the history before you call me, so that I'm a little bit informed when you're calling me. And so I knew where you were. I knew you were with Jeff, and I pretty much know his personality, and I knew, you know, and that's why it was kind of like good, perfect timing. I was just boom. Anyway. We're talking about the success we're having with
With
this.
Libby.
Yeah, like huge. We are definitely at like an 80% closing rate, somewhere around there. He's already got 25,000 in sales. He's got just over 10 plus some other stuff.
And $6,000 in the warranty, right?
Yeah, and then you've got on top of that, you know. So we got a lot of stuff happening. We probably have about, I want to guess, somewhere around 6 installs to do.
Lined up.
In a company where we have no installers, like literally, because Mike and Jesse are not really meant to be installers in this company, and we're talking about how we need to get those people in place so that you guys can be who you are without doing the work, you know. So we want to transition. We've seen the success. We want to transition this into the plumbing, and we're assuming that probably the best way to do this, and it doesn't have to be this way, but I think maybe differently for drain calls perhaps, but I think for just general plumbing inspection calls, we start with the water heater, we camera the water heater, we get on the phone, we show the customer what we found, we get on a speakerphone, Kevin, do you have a minute? However you guys want to word that, whatever you're comfortable with. I'll probably know where you're at that point before you even call me, because you know I'm keeping a close eye on the schedule now, so that when you do call me, I'm not surprised. I know what city I'm in. I know what city you're in, so we don't have to ask those questions. You know, and on the water heater, what do we want to do is look at we want the camera like Iggy's got. We want to be able to show them on the screen or videotape it if the customer's not in front of you, and make sure you get a part of their garage that they'll recognize, you know, oh yeah, this is my garage, so they see, just like in the attic where we see that, oh yeah, this is my attic, not somebody else's. Same thing if you're showing them a sewer line. That stuff happens out there, you know, people see watching videos that aren't their house.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's very shiesty out there, so anyway, so we're going to show them what's inside the water heater. We're going to focus in on the scale. This is what we're here to remove today. This is where that's coming from, and the education process starts to begin. I'm concerned about this. I want to get my field advisor out, whatever you want to call me, a plumbing advisor, what have you. I'd like to get Kevin out or Sarah out, or it's probably going to be Sarah 90% of the time, right? But I could be her backup. Even Ellen could be her backup when she's tied up, or maybe Anthony as well. But we want to get her out there, you know, I have a concern, this is what I'm seeing. And then maybe Sarah could say something, hey, while you're waiting for me, can you do me a favor and perform the water quality test?
That's awesome.
So that, you know, and there's a specific test that I want to start doing that we're not doing now. That test, what it does is, because we've showed them the sediment in the water heater, okay? But in a vial of water, just this little beaker, it's very similar to the ones we're using now. There's a chemical that you can introduce into that beaker of water, and all the suspended sediment in that water drops to the bottom.
Okay.
And it's crazy. It looks like somebody poured sand in the water.
That's insane.
Like it just appears magically in front of you. And it's very impressive. And then you could say to the homeowner, you see this sediment here? That's what you're seeing build up in your water heater. But it doesn't just stay in your water heater. It kind of, the heat causes some of it to dissipate into the water heater, but a lot of it is going into your plumbing system. That's when you start to show them what's going on with the aerators and the shower heads clogging up, etc., etc. So you're introducing them to the problem and what it's doing to their plumbing. And then I'm coming there to introduce them to the solution, or Sarah's coming there to introduce them to the solution. And that's how we're going to roll on the plumbing side. I think it's going to be badass.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be totally badass. So we're going to do it that way. We're going to have, you know, guys like Iggy, Anthony, what have you, going out there, doing the whole house plumbing inspection, getting that camera in there, just like the sniffer and the coil, camera in the water heater. Every time, camera in the water heater. So those cameras are cheap, $40, whatever, compared to $400 and some dollars we spent for a sniffer, right?
600 in total for all the different.
Yeah, 600
mumbo
something
jumbo.
for all the three tools.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that. Those tools, all of them have already paid for themselves. Just like that.
First job.
Oh, yeah.
Just
They-
done. Yeah.
First job.
And that's like any good tool always pays for itself almost
Right.
immediately,
Mhm.
you know, like first time you use it. So I'm super excited about this. We were just talking about how, and you probably know this a little bit about our company since you've been here probably the longest. You've seen that in the HVAC side of things, March, April sucks. Like we're sucking wind. Right
Yeah.
now, we have so many installs sold that we're having difficulty right now. That's like a big conversation right
Scheduling
now. It's
around.
like, how are we gonna do all this work? That's how crazy it
That's
is
a
right now.
conversation.
Like, that's a crazy
There's a lot
conversation.
of anxiety there, but it's always good.
Yo, it's great
It's good
anxiety,
that
yeah,
Friday when you
because
get your-
it's so encouraging to tell a homeowner that, okay, yeah, how soon can you do this? In a week, maybe two. You know,
Right.
because now you're not desperate anymore, right?
Mhm.
You're not like right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We can get started now. We'll
Yeah.
go get the stuff right now for you.
Start
Don't worry
now.
about it. Like
Yeah.
we'll get. I have some people down the street. They're waiting on the
Yeah.
on the corner.
corner.
They're just
Right.
waiting for me to call in.
I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We're gonna rip everything out today.
Yeah.
I know it's 5 o'clock. Don't worry. I haven't done anything today. Okay. So.
Got all the energy in the world.
Yeah.
So fortunately, some of these customers said, "Oh, I need it done in April," you know, and I was like, "Good," because I need a week to do that
Yeah.
job, you know, and I don't have the crew. Like I have a month for one of these jobs to get a crew together.
Which
So-
one?
That's the one I sold in Irvine. So that was 20-some thousand.
Oh, okay. Is that
Yes.
2 systems?
Wow.
Are we moving it to an attic?
Huh?
Are we moving it to an attic?
Relocate into an attic, ductwork,
Yeah.
condenser coil furnace,
Okay.
new hole in the roof, the whole.
Say the same type of thing that we did that Mike and Jesse were working on that I helped them with. Same type of
Similar,
thing?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of very similar, only a much nicer home in Irvine. Really
Gotcha.
nice home.
Are we going to be replacing the ducts in the walls?
Just in the attic.
Okay, that simplifies life a lot.
Yeah, we're adding returns. We're making an access where there
Yeah.
is none.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be just a lot of labor in that one.
It'll take 3
yeah.
or 4 days.
But anyway, yeah, so it's all good. Anyway, so it's a great problem to have. I'm super excited because we are closing at around 80% rate, somewhere in there. It might even be higher than that. But I know it's off the charts right now. But the front line is you guys. Every time you stick that sniffer in the coil,
So,
you know, I mean, just think about that. There's an 80%, if it goes off, there's an 80% chance of a sale.
That's why,
and-
that's why I checked out this
and not-
7-year-old system. I was
And
on
we're
this-
we're not just selling coils either.
Mm.
Like, I think we might have one coil, and that's because it's under warranty,
yeah.
partially.
Yeah.
And the rest of them have been, at least, you know, a furnace added to that, at least. So, that's the other exciting part. So, and I think the same's gonna happen in the plumbing side of things. I think there can always be, you know, like, hey, you know, my toilets are suffering from a lot of scale, we can add 3 toilets to the house. There will be, because we're gonna show them that scale as well with the camera, we're gonna look in the ring, we're gonna show them, by the way, those cameras go in water, don't they?
Yeah.
So you could kinda poke them in there a little bit and, you know, give them a real good visual of what's taking place and why. Educate the homeowner, and boom, I just think we're gonna be storing water treatment in there.
Sweet.
Yeah, getting ready to move it, so, yeah. So anyway, that's the class. I wanted to encourage you guys and thank you guys, to continue. And then we'll go from there, and then we're gonna have to kind of work out some role play on the plumbing side, how we wanna do this. We gotta make sure we got the cameras first, make sure whoever goes on those calls is equipped. And really, to the point that I am paying attention, if I don't hear from you on that call, in other words, if you don't call or Sarah doesn't hear from you, I should say, and Sarah's gonna have access to that schedule as well, because I don't wanna be really the person following up for Sarah. This is really your task, is to, hey, when you go out and why didn't you call me on that water heater flush? I didn't hear from you, what happened? You know, because we can't just let people do it sometimes and not do it other times, because it's that time that you don't do it, that could have easily been a $20,000 call.
Do it on every job and see what happens, you know what I mean? If it's water heater
Yeah.
flushes, it's like,
Just think it's part of it.
just
Every
go
job,
for it.
yeah,
Even
just
if you're
go for
not
it.
feeling that and you're kind of putting your own judgment into that call, like, oh, this might
Mhm.
not be happening, it doesn't seem like she's, still go for it.
Yeah, in fact, that job,
That you think that you're not feeling ends up a lot of times going through, you know?
that job we sold for the over 10,000 that he referred to me on a coil, or heat exchanger, was it?
His heat exchanger.
Yeah, it was heat exchanger.
His heat exchanger from a system in 1977.
Yeah, they don't have air conditioning. That's the other interesting thing about this call, is they don't have air conditioning, but they're getting it,
Nice.
you know, so
Oh, man,
that's,
Perfect.
that's cool, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome,
so anyway, the other thing about that is we saw the water heater, and I told him, I said, don't say anything to them about the water heater yet, because that's to come. You know, we gotta get in progress on the job before we start adding all this other stuff, because that water heater is not just gonna be a conversation about a water heater.
Right.
It's gonna be a conversation about a lot of other stuff, you know, including water treatment coming into the house, so. And that's the way we wanna set these up. And really, what I'd like to do is somehow get Sarah out there while we're in progress on that job, and, you know, somehow figure out between the two of us how, you know, between you and Ryan, how you guys wanna do that. But it's a 12-year-old water heater.
Yeah.
No
These
stain,
are
no,
perfect,
no
yeah.
drain pan
Is it
underneath
next to the
it.
furnace?
Huh?
Is it next to the furnace?
No.
No, it's next to the washer and dryer.
Oh, it's in the
It's on a
closet
stand in the
inside
garage
house?
by
Oh.
itself, yeah.
Yeah, it's on a little box, a little wooden box stand, in the garage, right, with a water heater or with a washing machine and dryer right next to it.
Mhm.
The washing machine and dryer are new, and
Okay.
it's old, and doesn't have a drain pan, doesn't have a TMP outside the house.
It
Everything's
doesn't,
just
yeah,
going right.
the
Yeah,
TMP is
it's
not
just
even,
there.
Everything's just
Yeah.
gonna go right there when
it's
it
just
when
not
it
even the code.
goes.
Yeah.
Not even
so
close, yeah.
None of it, yeah, so. Anyway, that's what I wanna discuss, get with your people, the water heaters, whoever, look at the schedule. If you don't have access to our schedule, talk to Helen,
Okay,
so that you could see everything that's going on in the company.
right,
And then you could just start talking to, your people, basically, and saying, hey, I see you're going to see this customer, this is something you wanna do. Take a look at this, take a look at that, you could be looking at history, all that stuff. And we could start, I'll work mostly the HVAC side, and you obviously are gonna be on the
that's
close.
gonna work great, because as you can see on the flips, it is very high closing rate.
Yeah.
Honestly, even the flips that I get, I don't think I've missed one
Yeah.
in a long time.
Right? It's
They
crazy
get
how it
sold.
works.
Yeah, even HVAC to plumbing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I'm at 80-90% on that.
Yeah.
And we're not even there to do plumbing.
Right.
So imagine my plumbers or our plumbers doing that,
Right,
it's insane,
yeah.
big time.
Yep, so anyway, that's what we're gonna do. And that's it for today.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.